Hold on here. I gotta turn my head. Hello, Jay. Hey.
Hey. Angle's bad, isn't it? There we go.
How are we feeling on a Wednesday of all the stuff that's gone on? What's the proper emotion to have from Friday at about 10:30 to today? Future players are committing to Nebraska. What do you think the emotions are between the end of the Iowa game to today? With, oh, by the way, a coordinator leaving, some players putting their name into the portal. What's the emotion right now?
Well, today I feel great. I feel fantastic. My outlook is still positive with this program. My outlook Friday at 10:30 was not good. I was in a dark spot. I'll be honest. As I'm sure a lot of people were, because you just scratch your head and just trying to figure out how football game, and we know it was rather simple, and Iowa kind of got them in there, lulled them to sleep, and that's what Iowa does. Just wait for you to make a mistake and they capitalize. But I think what then transpired on Monday with Tony and then into the transfer portal guys, like, it hasn't been a good 4 or 5 days for the fan base. I get it, but I'm a firm believer that things happen for a reason. Whether it's a coach leaving, players leaving, I think there's always something good that can come out of it. I don't always go to the negative on things. I think everything's fine inside of Memorial Stadium with this staff and this program. I also think if players don't want to be here, then don't be here. If they are getting information that they don't like, or vibes they don't like, or they think the grass is greener on the other side, then go check it out. Go see what it is. And I think Coach Rule has gotten that message across to his players, and I think you've seen that in the last couple of years. But I obviously losing Tony, that hurts. That was rather unexpected, but you got to move on. You got to get better from it and find solutions and figure out how to get one more win next year.
Jay, do you foresee a change in defensive philosophy going forward with the departure of Tony White?
Potentially. I think that's kind of up to whoever they're going to bring in, whether it's John Butler or whoever it may be from the outside. I think they're going to have their systems that they want to utilize, and they're comfortable coaching and developing in. I think if a guy wanted to keep running the 3-3-5, I'm all for it. If they want to run a 3-4, great. They want to run a 4-3, awesome. I think that the coordinators will look at the talent that's here, especially I think you kind of build around your defensive line first. That's the most important aspect of me. Obviously, I'm rather biased, but I think that's the most important aspect of a defense is who are your 8 core guys that are going to play that spot. What do they succeed in? What have they succeeded in the past playing certain positions, whether it's a defensive end, tackle, nose guard, 4-eye, 5 technique, 6 technique, all those types of positions, how they move, how they're at the point of attack. I think that kind of is going to make your mind up on how they want to do things. But anything will work. If you have the talent, if you have the dudes up front, and you can make any defense work. I've played in 4-3s. I played in 3-4s. I like them all. I see the advantages to both. 4-3s can be rather more simple for younger players to understand. 3-4s can be a little more complicated. So can 3-3-5s. But I imagine whoever comes in and takes on this role is going to definitely take a deep dive and look at the talent, but also what he's most comfortable in. Maybe he played in this certain system in college in the pros, and obviously what he's most comfortable teaching, communicating, and developing players through.
You guys talked about this last night, and I think the Tony White discussion. Hey, he's making a move that is best for him where he wants to go. I don't think it's just I wanted to go to Florida State. I think it's I wanted to go to the state of Florida. So he goes there. He's gone now. I think his philosophy will be good at Florida State because it's a different type of athlete. But you guys talked about this last night on Big Red Wrap Up, and it was a really good, reasoned conversation. Are you surprised at the pushback on Tony's 2 years as the defensive coordinator? Because, you can look at numbers, you can look at performance, but compared to what they had, what he inherited, and to give him enough to do, I'm saying that's a good football coach. What was your reaction to kind of the pushback or the fallout from Tony leaving?
Yeah, I think people, that's just the nature of people getting hurt. I think by, they want to automatically say, oh, perfect, right? He wasn't good enough. He was, they gave up 56 points to Indiana, and they were on the field for 14 of the first 16 minutes of the UCLA game. He's not good enough. I think people, that's their automatic response to things when they're caught off guard, and you're kind of not. I mean, I don't know if it's hurt, but like they're not happy with the decision. That's kind of how people kind of protect their feelings first. Listen, it hurts. I mean, it's not. I respect the hell out of Tony White. Just a couple times I've met him. He's a stand-up human being. He is a fantastic coach, person. And what he's able to do in the 2 years were, for what last year, especially for what Nebraska had offensively, and to get that crew to go out there and battle each and every game where you didn't know if this offense could score 10 points. And you're able to keep your team in every ball game you played, maybe other than the Michigan game last year. But even looking at this year, you got a young player, young quarterback coming in. You got some different, a lot of the guys were back last year, but still things were a little different. And you lose your secondary coach that was here last year a month before the season. That's tough to deal with. And for the output and the results he got, and yeah, I understand that some of the results weren't there, and I know he wasn't happy with it, and no one should be happy with the Indiana performance and the UCLA performance. But overall, I think what he's done and what he accomplished there in the short time is it shouldn't be forgotten. And he's going to go down to Florida State, and he's going to do fantastic things because he's a good human being. He's a fantastic coach. He's going to love his players. Ton of talent there in Florida State. I know they had their issues this year, but they got some dudes on that team that he can help bring along and get them over get that next level. But yeah, that's just a human nature, man. People will never shock me or surprise me with how they react to things. There's always people that overreact, and that's what it's going to be. It's unfortunate, but I didn't see that. I saw it as, damn, we're losing a good coach, we're losing a good person. He has to go take care of some business down there that's really important to him, and I tip my cap to him, and I wish him the best.
We talk, and we have been talking about how everyone's got to get down to this 105, and so that's going to shape Portal Combat the most here going forward. Are there any positives to any of this, having to trim down these rosters at all?
Yeah, it's hard. I don't. It's tough conversations that you have to have with kids who, a year or two ago were getting recruited here, and you were told that you're going to give them every opportunity that they have to play, earn a scholarship, run out of that field at Memorial Stadium and play in front of family and friends and contribute. And now you're going to tell them, hey man, I'm sorry. Like, it's just, that sucks. That's obviously one of the negatives. But every single coach in Division 1A is going to have those tough conversations. I think, roster management now, we are chit-chatting after the show last night. I mean, with the transfer portal opening up, signing day, you have all these teams who are trying to, especially the teams are going to be playing, whether it's a bowl game or a playoff or a conference championship. I mean, you have 8 schools out there trying to play in a conference championship game here this weekend, and the transfer portals open up. You have early signing day. I mean, you need a full-time staff on the side that's handling all this stuff, so you can have your coaches to manage, the day-by-day game planning, right? So I think this is becoming more and more like NFL. Obviously, NFL, you have 60 total guys in your roster with practice squad, maybe a few more, but it's craziness. It's chaos. I think right now I would say it's more negative than positive to me, because we just don't know what it is. We don't know exactly how it is. I think once you get a firm understanding how things are going to go, when do they need to get to the 105? Is it before spring ball, after spring ball, before fall camp, after fall camp, whatever it may be? I think from there it'll have a more positive outlook. But right now it's tough when you have to send guys home because It's a numbers game. And I've been there. I've had those, not in college, but I've had those conversations to me in the NFL where, hey man, you're good enough, but for what the numbers are, it's not going to work here. So we got to let you go. And I've been a part of those conversations, and it sucks and it's not fun, but that's just, I guess we got to call college football a business now, and that's part of the business.
Right. Jay Moore joining us here on the Gary Sharp Show. Let's go over to offense. And this might sound crazy, and I may be going down the wrong path, but I want to engage in this conversation because I look at Friday night, and that's game 3 of Dana Holgorsen calling play. So we've gone from I got to find a way to get the ball to 17 to I got to find a way to get the ball to Jacory. So he's learning more of the personnel. Only 10 points scored, didn't score in the second half, but it comes down to execution. And when there is a play to be made, whether a ball to be caught or a throw to be made or a hole to hit, Nebraska missed on a couple of them, and I thought they left a lot of points on the field. But did you see, because this is what I saw, Jay. I think Dana schemed up a great game plan on offense. What did you see on offense in his third time that gives you some momentum or optimism for what this may look when he gets to pick his players that he wants, his staff that he wants, and gets more of a feel for what guys can and can't do?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty darn good. I agree. I mean, they left an extra 14 points on that field on Friday night. You look at the overthrow that they had to Jalen Lloyd early in that first quarter. That could have been 7. Obviously, the narrow drop was 7. You have the missed field goals. So, yeah, easily called 11 points. It should have been a 21-point ball game, in my opinion. But that is what it is. And weather having those issues, I think that's some of it. But his ability to, I love his rhythm of his offense. And I've said this, and it's not about pace. It's not about going no huddle and up tempo. It's the rhythm in which plays are getting in the huddle and how they're getting out of the huddle with time. It just seems very consistent. When you kind of have that, and I've been a part of a lot of different teams, and I don't know if I've said this on the show before, but rhythm's huge. All OCs are saying, get out of the huddle, break the huddle. We got to go. Let's go. Rhythm, pace. Let's go. I love his ability to get a call in and get into the huddle. So you allow Dylan to go up to the line of scrimmage, dissect, see what's going on with the defense, make some changes or not. But I think that's huge. But his ability to get players pre-snap in situations where they can win and get guys open. And they're finding holes all over that Iowa zone defense. I mean, obviously you look at the plays, throws he made to Borkature and Banks and Fedoni and Barney and, just getting balls to Emmett Johnson out of the backfield. Some of those runs. I mean, the play I broke down a bigger wrap up. I love that call where you kind of line up in a bunch formation to the field side. It looked like you're on a toss crack to the field side, but then you get everyone going one way. You bring Borkature across formation. You kick out the end. You have a cutback alley right there. Love that. Fantastic, right? That little stuff that you might call them tendency breakers sometimes, or just you think it's got to be this, but it's that, and it drives coordinators crazy because I put myself in a defensive minded, in their shoes, and formation recognition is everything in defense. You got to think, okay, you've seen this before. What have they done? You got to kind of go through that hit chart and say, when I've seen this formation, how many times are they doing this? And you got to kind of play the percentages and not guess, but almost maybe slide one way, but you're stepping in a certain direction, and that's all it takes. If you just misstep, and they can cut you off or get a crease or get you up, sucking up on a play action, they can get something over you. That's the difference between an incomplete pass and a touchdown. So the ability, just little tweaks there, but I'm excited about what the future holds. You get an off season with Dylan, even an extra 14, 15 practices in the bowl game here before they even go to New York or wherever they end up going, to kind of fine tune this and get guys understanding it better. And then you obviously have the off season, get your recruiting in. You're obviously potentially another wide receiver coach coming in to understand the system, and it's going to be fun, explosive. And the best thing too, I think with Danny, we've seen is holding the guys accountable. You better get it done in practice. If you don't, you're not going to play. And that's what this team needs. You got to go out and compete and get it done Monday through Friday. So obviously on Saturdays you can win.
I've been saying all week, jokingly, but sort of seriously, people forget that the Huskers do have another football game to play this season. And you know better than anyone what that time period is like. What is the player's mindset as you're preparing for that? what are the advantages, but also what's the bigger negatives about that, or are there any other than playing?
No, I don't think there's any. There's no negatives. I think as a player, and this is coming from a guy who I missed. We did miss one bowl game after the 04 season. It was the first one we missed in a long time. But bowl practices. They're a grind. They're long. It's another spring ball. You're practicing against your team for 2-3 weeks. That gets a little old and that gets monotonous. So there's that aspect to it. But the coaches do a good job of where the guys who played all season. You know how many reps they got in practicing games, so you make sure that they stay sharp. But the positive is now you get these young guys. You come in and they're scrimmaging. They're going, whether it's good on good from the guys who are on the scout team. Maybe the threes on or versus the threes or whatever it is. Right? You have some fun with it. Have some competition. Let these guys go out and play.